Hello, hello, hello. This is Tando from Cosmic Spark. I'm your spiritual godmother, and I'm back again for another video. I've asked Spirit today what the reading shall be on, and they selected the Aura card in my Lenormand. And so the topic that I'm going with, based on my download when I looked at this card, is what can you do for your spiritual health? Okay.
Choose your pile wisely.
Alrighty, let's get into it. Pile 1. Angels, ancestor, spirit. This is a reading for pile 1. What can pile 1 do for their spiritual health at the present moment? Angels, ancestor, spirit. What can pile 1 do for their spiritual health at the present moment? Thank you. Radical self-acceptance. Moving forward. Inner life. Wishful expectations. Weeping wounds. Okay, let's see what these cards are saying. So, Spirit is saying that for you to feel stronger, Spirit is saying, for you to feed your etheric body at the present moment, it actually is going to begin with you in the physical, okay? Now, typically things actually apply first in the spiritual and then in the physical, but I feel that you doing this work in the physical gets you to connect to where you should be or where you are actually in the etheric realms or the astral realms. So what you can do for your spiritual health at the moment is work on your self-acceptance, work on your self-concept, work on your self-perception. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, where do I start? Learn what shadow work is. Learn about subconscious reprogramming. This could be through affirmations, through mirror work, any of the things that you probably normally hear me talk about all the time, and you're probably going to roll your eyes because I say the same shit all the time. But I say this as someone who's done a lot of work on my self-concept and am completely in love with myself. So working on your self-acceptance right now is actually one of the best things that you can do for your spiritual health and well-being. It's like when you're doing that, you're clearing. I also am intuitively getting that first you should start with a cleanse. After you listen to this video, you need to just do a cleanse. I don't care when your last cleanse was, even if it was yesterday, because sometimes you do need to do more than one cleanse, okay? Firstly, start with the cleanse, work on your self-concept, and make cleansing and doing self-work a regular practice, okay? So one good practice that you can do that's like a daily thing that will help you even unwittingly is the morning pages. If you've never heard of that, look them up. There's heaps of videos of people explaining what that is. I won't do that because it's specifically about a reading, but that's a practice you can do every day that will feed your soul. It basically gets you and your subconscious brain better talking to each other because you're just brain dumping all of this stuff. And the kinds of downloads and the kinds of things and connections I've been able to make from brain dumping. When I normally do journal, but the way that I journal is a little bit different. It's a little bit more curated. Whereas when you're brain dumping, whatever comes out in whatever order, and you just get it on the page. And yeah, in just the last 3 months alone, the changes that I've made doing that is unbelievable. Okay. You can feed your spiritual self and your spiritual body right now by taking steps forward. Just remember, it's one at a time. How do you eat an elephant? Bit by bit, right? You're not going to rush into this thing. What you need to do is be facing forward. So if right now you're listening to this reading and you're a little bit triggered because you've been thinking about that relationship that you're no longer in, you've been thinking about that job that you left behind, you've been basically the 5 of Cups in the tarot deck where you're crying over the spilt cups and you're not noticing the cups that haven't spilled and are still there waiting to be claimed and utilized. And I feel that this reading is saying, if that is you, if you're struggling with that, okay, for you to get in a better, clearer spiritual place as a spirit is by, at the very least, facing forward. And I think what that looks like is doing your best to not think about that which doesn't serve you, which is the past, okay? The past is gone. I know it's not that easy, but it's a matter of practice. If you're right now indulging in thoughts of that, then that's not you practicing letting go, right? So don't listen to this and arc up at me because you're like, well, this is harder than you say it is. Yes, it is hard. You can do hard things. That's an affirmation that you can use in the mirror. I think you're also being called to meditate. I feel that in the 2 cards. The moving forward card mentions stillness, and the inner life card with the beautiful crone lady who's sitting in meditative pose. And inner life is about looking within. And how do we look within? Firstly, by closing our eyes. I think that's a really, really great place to start. And then listening and feeling, taking in data. Taking intentional breaths, right? So that's definitely something that you're being asked to do. And this can also be indicating that it would be really good for you to journal. Now, you could just use your morning pages as a journaling practice. You could look up, I think there's different journaling techniques depending on what you're wanting to get out of it. You don't even have to have a technique. I think journaling is just cathartic for most people if you give it a chance and you've got the patience for it. I think some of you are in spiritual jail right now because you're not allowing yourself to move on from things. There's a real trend actually in this reading in some of you being stuck in the past. And if it's not being stuck in the past, it's being stuck in wanting to see things in a certain way that they are not. Let me give you a scenario because I love doing that when I'm giving a reading. Say you have a baby mama, right? You've been with her for a while, but you guys have sort of semi-acknowledged that the relationship isn't really in its prime. It's not really, it might not even work long term, but maybe neither of you are ready quite yet to snip and do the thing. But it's like you're interacting with this woman and you're seeing her toxicity. You're seeing it in the way that she's using the child as a pawn to get you to come to her whenever she wants. You're seeing that she's very flippant about her responsibilities and would, in a heartbeat, leave the child, whether you're there or not, because they're like, well, at the very least, he's the responsible one. Or if it's 2 women, she's the responsible one out of the 2 of us. So she'll make sure to rush to come babysit this child. I can just go and run to this rave real quick because I feel like I'm really missing out, right? And you're holding on because you're like, oh my God, we got this history, we grew up together, and I didn't really see this in her because we'd never had a child. And I don't know, there was something about this baby that actually maybe made her like want to escape. Like maybe before this baby, she thought she wanted to do all the grown-up things, and you thought you were on the same page as that about that. But now her actions, not her words, her actions are proving that she's not and she can't be the mature person at the present moment that she might have stated that she could be before she was pregnant. And now she's doing all these behaviors, whether it's a partner or a mom or whatever, right? And this card is telling me that some of you are sitting there watching actions that clearly state what they mean. It's like you're with a boyfriend who says he's always busy, even though Nothing has changed in his hours at work. He's doing the same thing he was doing, like when you got together, except he used to give you more attention then, but all of a sudden he's too busy now, but nothing has actually changed, like intrinsically, right? So you're seeing that. And then when you do talk to him, it depends on what you talk to him about. Sometimes he's just going to shut you down because he doesn't care. Other times he's just going to get annoyed and start a fight just so that you guys can be in timeout. And then he doesn't have to hear from you from hours. And you can sense that he's doing it for that reason. You can sense that he goads and starts fights as an excuse to be left alone, because that's clearly what he wants, right? And whatever the situation, these are a couple of scenarios. So you're seeing this behavior and you're trying to convince yourself that there is love and respect there that exists because of the past, even though it's not existing in the present based on the present actions, right? So if you're listening to that, how is your spirit going to soar? How are you supposed to find the intuitive downloads when you change yourself? You've changed yourself to these beliefs that aren't serving you about the people around you, just because you're like, yeah, but like we have a history. Yeah, but like this person did mean something to me at one point. Okay, and maybe that season's ended. Okay, like sorry if I'm a bit sassy about that kind of stuff. I'm someone who very much protects my peace in that way. I don't let people stay in my life if they mistreat me. So I will be your big sis. I will be your spiritual godmother and come and say, it doesn't matter how long you've known someone. I could have known them 10 years, 2 years, 6 months. And if they start no longer serving me, and by serving me, I don't mean I just get everything and I give nothing. But if it's now a relationship that's causing me more havoc, I'm now overthinking. I now have anxiety. I'm now having to plot and plan and calculate and try and manipulate. Oh, well, since they're manipulating me in this way, let me manipulate them in that way to get that outcome. Like, who's got time for that? We don't, okay? Weeping wound. I feel that this is saying for your spiritual health, you need to disassociate yourself from your pain, realizing that your pain happened to you as it happens to other people. You know, everyone goes through pain, even the rich and famous, right? But it isn't you. Does that make sense? Like, if you've gone through assault, you were assaulted, but you're not the embodiment of assault. It was just a thing that happened. It is something that you can process. It is something that you can come to a sort of understanding about within yourself. I'm not saying that you're going to be healed and then you're going to never think about it again. I'm saying you can, at the very least, stop you from blaming you for shit that you didn't do to you. If your mom abused you growing up, you know, always said negative things about you, that's what she did. That's for her to process. That's supposed to be her thing to shoulder and wonder and worry. And I know not all, like, we have a famous saying in Zimbabwe that basically translates to when the axe hits the tree, it's the tree that remembers, right? Because typically when people hurt us, a lot of the times they're doing it flippantly. Sometimes they're doing it intentionally, sure. But a lot of times people will just kind of flippantly hurt you. And so you're the one who ends up spending years stewing. But because this person, it was just another day for them, they're not thinking about that shit. You think Susie from 5th grade is thinking about the fact that she called you fat and that it actually boiled over into an eating disorder, and it boiled over into he healing that eating disorder but still struggling with liking your body? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like we need to separate Susie's words from us. And this goes into subconscious reprogramming. If it's you in the mirror saying to yourself, I am not my pain, I am not my pain, I am not fat, I am beautiful. Oh, maybe I'm not fat. It's probably not a good affirmation, is it? I'm sorry. It was just the first thing that came up. That's kind of silly, but it's like I am beautiful in my own body. I am beautiful at any stage. Um, my existence is enough. I think that's a really, really powerful one, because I think you choosing to be alive every day on this earth is itself a blessing, and everyone around you should be in awe and proud, as we should all be in awe and proud, because we could all choose to eject ourselves. I know I speak quite a lot about that, but I do acknowledge that I think it's a really big step to get up every day. And I think it's fine that we acknowledge that. I think the sooner we did, the more that like we can truly enjoy the everyday, right? Alrighty. Let me see if I've got any last advice from Spirit. How about your spiritual health pile one? Any final message from Spirit on improving the spiritual health of pile one? Abundance. You are already abundant. You are coming into more abundance. All you need to do, accept yourself, look forward, do some cleansing regularly, do some regular meditations, please. Do some shadow work. That's always, okay? The shadow work never ends. I've done a lot of it, and I am still doing more. And I know there's more waiting for me in the future, okay? And you are not your pain. Trust me, your spiritual body, your etheric body is not holding these things, okay? It's your physical body. You can process it, you can let it move through you. You really can, I promise you. You can do it somatically, you can do it through breaths, and I'm not saying one time. It'll be a process. It'll be long, but you can heal the physical. You can heal the physical through the mental and through the physical. I hope you've enjoyed that reading, pile one. I hope that it gave, because I feel like I got a lot out of it, even just doing the reading for you. I hope you've enjoyed that message. I hope you come back again. Please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting. And I'll see you soon. Bye. Alrighty, pile two. Let's get straight into it. So, I asked Spirit what we're going to read on. It was your spiritual health. So, what can pile two do to improve their spiritual health at the moment? What can pile two do to improve their spiritual health at the moment? What can pile two do to improve their spiritual health? Pleasure. Oh, you're speaking my language. Pleasure. Where's that from? Daniel Caesar? Is it Daniel Caesar? Enlightenment. Gorgeous. No, it's Frank Ocean. Pleasure. Flexibility. Action. New beginnings. Oh my god, pile two. Firstly, the colors alone are just giving optimism. And I just adore that for you. And also, the way that the order that I've done the cards is going almost from night to day. Like the first two cards are giving night sky, and then all the other cards are giving morning or like daybreak, right? And so I think there's a lot of symbology in that. I think it's the turning of the wheel. It is the beginnings of new and exciting things. And I feel that for this pile, right, I'm feeling immediately less like you're coming from as deep a place as pile one. You are in a really good place, actually, and I think it's only going to get better. So if you weren't a few months ago, a few years ago, and you're worried that like maybe one of these days, no, I'm not seeing that at all, okay? You're going to go from good to better to best. That's the kind of energy. What can you do for your spiritual well-being? Indulging in pleasures. What those pleasures are is up to you, but it's always about moderation. So for me as a spiritualist, I recognize that I, as a human being, enjoy escapism. I always have, and I think that's something that all cultures have throughout time. And I feel like there is a place for it. I allow myself little bits of escapism. So these days, especially now that I'm older and my frontal lobe is well and truly developed, I don't feel the need to just go all out for things that other people find pleasurable. So, for example, drinking. I don't really like getting drunk. It doesn't mean I don't get drunk, but I don't seek it and I don't go out of my way to do it. If it happens, it's probably just been an in the moment thing and then I just indulged a little too hard. So when I'm saying pleasure, I don't want you to think that you can go out and do all the drugs and spend all your money and then everything is going to be sorted because the spiritualist said so. No, I'm talking like, where are you finding the most pleasure at the moment? So for me, I'm finding the most pleasure in doing these videos. I'm finding the most pleasure when I'm writing and when I'm doing any of my hobbies. I'm also trying a few new classes and trying things that I know I've always wanted to try. So, for example, crochet. I've tried to teach myself crochet, struggled, so now I've booked myself in for a class. That kind of thing, right? And because I'm about moderation, but I'm also about balance, I'm saying, yes, you can indulge in the old SEX. You can indulge in drinking. You could do whatever you wanted in that realm, as long as you're not seeking to use it as a shield or as a band aid, because it is from that place where it all goes wrong and it goes downhill. I'm looking at this pleasure actually as more of like sensuality, way more than the other thing that I mentioned before. Okay. So I'm seeing it as lean into pleasure in the sense of really indulging your senses. Okay. So you love being outdoors. And so you're going to take yourself out to this rainforest that's like an hour away. And you love a bit of a hike, right? And so you're going to take a few things. You're going to take water because that's obviously hydrating and that's good for your body. And then if you're me, you're going to take cherries. Whenever I take cherries somewhere, I know I'm spoiling myself because cherries are my favorite fruit ever. And I think of cherries as an indulgent thing because they're also expensive too. And so when I'm taking myself on a cute little solo date, I'll take cherries because that is enough for me to feel like I've done a good thing, I've done an indulgent thing, and I've really treated myself. And so you take yourself out because you enjoyed being outdoors. Then you take your favorite snacks or whatever. You might even take a book because you know that you love booking. You're booking. You know you love reading, and so you're kind of like maximizing on the pleasure. And so I don't want you to be very one-dimensional about what pleasure is. Okay, I want it to be like you love physical touch, right? But physical touch isn't just enjoyed because you're copulating with someone. And so you might be in a really cute mood and offer to do a girls' night where you all bring something to the table that you're going to contribute to the pleasure of the group, right? Because you're a physical touch girly, you're going to be the one doing the massages for everyone. But then someone is going to do the skincare, and then someone else is going to make sure that we're going to eat good all night, and someone else is going to be in charge of the mocktails, like that kind of vibe. I'm getting like really indulge and maximize on the pleasure, but let it be something that feeds you. Let it be something that actually feeds your soul from the inside out and doesn't leave you. Like when I puzzle, I might get lost in it for an hour or two, but I know it's healthy because I can walk away from it and I'm not really going to not sleep because I want to do that puzzle. I'll in fact just go to sleep and do it first thing in the morning if it's that deep, right? And I feel like when the things that you're indulging in are pleasurable but healthy, then it's something that you can do indulge in and then like respectfully leave it alone and be excited for the next time without feeling like you have to shovel it in. the way that I feel that social media's addiction causes in people, right? That's all I got off of the first card. I'm kind of impressed at my own channeling sometimes because I can't believe my own life. Can you believe that? Like, it kind of amazes me that I'm psychic. I feel like it's only something I've really like started claiming only in the last 12 months, and yet I've been reading for people for years, and my best friend and my mother have told me for years that I have a gift. I'm really happy about that one. Okay, now you just watch me celebrate myself in real time. Enlightenment. Oh my god, I feel like you are already getting downloads, just like pile one, and I'm sure pile three as well, because this is just good for everyone's spiritual health. You need to cleanse because that keeps the channels open, that keeps the lines open between you and spirit. But I feel that regardless, this card is giving you are already ascending. I don't know if we're all synced in ascension or whatnot, but I know like at least the bulk, the like intense bulk of my recent spiritual awakening was in November, and since then I've just been kind of steadily getting more and more downloads. So if you're anything like me, then you're either in the critical bit, or you're just kind of you can still tell that this thing's coming, and you're like, wow, this is intense, this is crazy, I'm like so excited and amazed and all of the fun things. Like, it's really cool to be spiritual. It's really cool to feel at one and part of the fabric of the universe. And it's crazy to me that other people don't think that. I mean, valid, but because I think everyone's interpretations are valid. Their interpretations of where they stand in the world and who they are in the world. Because who am I to say that my understanding of the world is superior? I detest that. So to me, anyone feeling more enlightened, I think, is only a good thing, because it means that they're more in touch with their intuition, and it means that the universe says that it's time and you're ready to hear certain things. You're ready to be told. You're ready to be given. You have earned the right to know certain information, to open new doors and open new pathways. And I think that's awesome. Flexibility. I think you can assist your spiritual health by not being too rigid right now. Maybe you have already been, doing some of this like pleasureful activities, and maybe you've fallen off of some of your rigid spiritual practices. Maybe normally you would cleanse X, Y, and Z times, and then do these things every morning, and then do X, Y, and Z on the new moon, and then X, Y, and Z on the full moon. And then some of those you kind of lost that in also wanting to prioritize being at one with the social networks that you exist in, and feeling like, oh, maybe you had strayed afar, or you'd kept to yourself a little bit, and you're like, oh my god, I really kind of want to feel again like I am part of the fold. I think you're being told that it's okay for you not to be living the most perfect spiritual life in terms of your routines. I think in general, maximize only if you're feeling called to it, because just ride the wave. But once that wave is over, it's always best to simplify things. I live my life in that way. I think of options that are the most simple all the time. And it's like, okay, out of your spiritual practices, which one is the most impactful? Pick one or two, and then just do that while you're allowing room for other aspects of your life to flourish. Because it's not just the spiritual that's important in this life, okay? It is also important to be in the physical plane that you have been birthed into. And now I'm not saying you want to be too rooted in the physical, but for some, you truly need to be. Because I know as a spiritual person, I've struggled enjoying being in a human body and being in the physical, because there's because I think so spiritually, there's certain things I'm just like, what's even the point of this, right? But it's like, no, but I am a human being, and I have been birthed already into this existence. So who am I to question that? Take actions towards the things that you're feeling called to. You see an advertisement for a course that you were thinking about and you can afford it. Is that not your opportunity? You know, don't second guess it. If you feel like you need to ask other people, don't ask yourself. If you feel an inkling but you're questioning it, then ask it in a different way. Maybe propose the question, then meditate. Maybe journal. Use yourself as the guiding light as to whether or not to take action, because I don't know you. I can't tell you who you can trust in your life to be able to guide you on which actions you should take. So that's that on that. And for your spiritual health, I think you need to be open to new beginnings. You know, there's a theme here with flexibility, actions, new beginnings. I think if you take certain actions, you will be opening new doors and hence your new beginnings. And with new beginnings comes a change in schedule and a change in prioritization, and therein lies flexibility. But also, now that you've carved out your new life, all, what's the saying? All work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy. And so herein comes pleasure. And in all this journey, for you to know where to go next, comes enlightenment. So all of the cards really tie excellently into each other. I'm going to ask the cards any final messages, pile 2 on their spiritual health. Any final messages from Spirit about pile 2 spiritual health, please and thank you. Accountability. Accountability is a gift of love and to yourself. Perspective. False beliefs. Okay. I'm going to make this one really quick because I feel like we've got the bulk of the message, and I feel like it's all working together anyway. Take accountability by taking responsibility, like I said, of your choices and of where you need to go next. I am telling you that you already know what you need to do. And if you think you don't consciously, you certainly do subconsciously or unconsciously. So why don't you talk to yourself and talk to that unconscious? There's so many tips and tricks online that you can look up on how to do that. Perspective. I think, how you're viewing the changes. I feel like there's a lot of changes happening for you right now with all the downloads, all the opportunities rearing their heads. And I think going back to a place of calm to make decisions is a really good place. And that's why I always recommend meditation when you're struggling with anything, because sometimes you just need to take a breath. Just like sometimes you just need to touch grass, right? False beliefs, you need to eliminate, just like pile 1, any beliefs that you have that you are the sum of anything negative that has happened to you, that you couldn't do anything that you want because of X, Y, and Z, because that's simply not true. It simply isn't. We all have a lot more agency than we think. That's my genuine belief. Probably as someone of Jupiter and Capricorn, but that's another thing altogether. Pile 2, I hope you've enjoyed this reading. I didn't think the readings would go as long per pile based on the question, but I'm really happy that it has, because I think this will really be useful and will feed you. So if you enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing. I am a young new channel just wanting a bit of love, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, pile 3. Pile 3. Let me do my little moments for this one. I haven't done it for the other piles, so aren't you special? I'm going to put this back in the deck, though. This is the card that told me the theme of the reading today would be about your spiritual growth, powers, health, improving your spiritual health. Jesus, okay. Angels, ancestors, spirit. How can pile 3 improve their spiritual health? Angels, ancestors, spirit. How can pile 3 improve their physical health? I adore these cards. I can't believe I had them in storage for so long. So the first one, Anchor, Cheers, Aura. I loved it. I had a feeling, I had an intuitive feeling it would come out again. Pathways. Oh, I'm so happy. Sun. And before I even actually start talking about this one, I am going to do another pull. So just bear with me. I've done this pile a little bit differently to the other ones, so I'm sure you'll enjoy it as is. Okay, how can pile 3 improve their health? How can pile 3 improve their health? How can pile 3 improve their health? Thank you. Spiritual health, inner peace, solitude. Isn't that simplicity? Easy to understand. Okay. Let's go. Okay. You can definitely improve your spiritual health at the present moment by locking in and digging your heels into that which you know is good for you, right? Say you've started a new exercise routine and it works perfectly and aligns with other aspects of your life. You do it first thing in the morning, and now that you've gotten yourself to wake up at a certain time, you go to the gym by this time, you're finished and showered by this time, you're at work at this time, and the day kind of flows really well. And it's like you're already seeing the fruits of that labor, and Spirit is saying, dig your heels in and make something stable and consistent that you already can see presently is working for you. So maybe just do a life audit, draw a pie chart, and in the pie chart, put in the different sections what aspect of life, right? So spirituality, family, finances, social, whatever. And then in those, I want you to write what you think is working really, really well for you right now. And then because the shears came up, I want you to then write what you think isn't working or isn't serving you or isn't going to help you achieve what you're looking to achieve over the next few weeks, days, months, or years, right? You do that and you follow your instincts. You've already got the words on the page. Only you know what's working and what's not working in your life right now. So, just like with pile 2, don't be looking outside of yourself to find the answers as to what to do. You can maybe get guidance, you can get a reading, you can go to a therapist, but I wouldn't be asking your family or friends for this one because I feel that truly you know what you're supposed to be doing on the inside. And if you do struggle and you just want to be sure, okay, you can ask one person, but this is the deal. You ask that person, say you have to make a decision out of 2 things, and you say, hey, do you think I should do A or B? And then the person says, I think you should do A. And as soon as you hear that, you go on the inside, maybe not on the outside, you go, ah, I was hoping they would say B. Hello? Is that information calling? Because I think you just found the answer. So if you do need to use someone as a springboard, only use them in that instance and not asking multiple people and not asking for validation and asking knowing that you're the one who makes the final decision and you're taking responsibility for that so that, yeah, you're not going to be blaming this other person later. That's me channeling. Okay. I think also some of you could already be experiencing stability, and this could be stability in a job. So you might really like the job that you're working at right now, or if you don't like it, you think it's serving you at the present moment, you like it enough, but you like, more importantly, that it gives you the funds that you need to do the other things that you want to do. And I think that having some sort of security at this time, anything consistent, is really, really going to give you that inner peace. And then being in solitude, because it's in solitude that you really get clear on who you are, what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, because you're not having anyone there to bounce ideas off of. And so spending time in solitude, especially with the way that the story has woven together, spending time in solitude is going to connect you with your higher self, with your etheric body. You're going to clear those lines. And therein, like I said to pile 1 and 2, comes cleansing. Cleansing always clears those channels and those pathways for you to be in better communication with your higher self and in better communication with your spiritual team. Okay? You're being guided that at the present moment, when you're trying to make a decision and you're finding it hard, the advice is pick the simplest option. Don't try and be Superman. Don't try and be Superwoman and think that you have to do things bigger and better than they've ever been done before. You have to do them, a bit like Virgo Mars, you have to do them perfectly the very first time. Otherwise, it's not worth anything. No one wants to hear it, you know? And so you get this idea of like having this new job in this like place where it's kind of close to all the shops and everything. And so really, you're not really going to have to pay for petrol. You could probably take public transport and it'll be really quick. And so you're kind of saving money on that and you have more expendable income and it kind of works with your rent versus this other job that's going to need you to travel. You earn more. So on paper, it looks good, but then you're going to have to spend all this money and all this out of pocket expenses. And then also with that job, maybe it actually comes with a little bit more mental load. And so when you're actually putting together everything that it's going to take for you to have this job, maintain it and enjoy it, is that value like, okay, you get the prestige of saying, okay, this job, like I get to travel and like go interstate, but it actually complicates a few things. Like maybe you had consistent gymming that you were doing or whatever, new consistent habits, right? And it's like, oh, but now with this schedule, I can't do the things consistently because my schedule isn't consistent. And so what it's telling you is when you're struggling to make a decision, pick the simpler one because sometimes there's beauty in rest and sometimes your spirit doesn't have to be go, go, go about everything. It doesn't have to be go, go about every aspect of life. Sometimes simplicity is best and simplicity is key. Okay. And then we've got the sun here, which tells me that at the moment, actually, you might benefit from not overthinking. From, hey Lucy. So this is the sun, which is sort of like outward expression, and it's like action oriented. It's like that like masculine energy that just gets things done. I feel like leaning into that energy where you're just doing what needs doing, you're not questioning things too deep. I think there's like a bit of balance there. There's a part of you that has to go inwards and like be introspective, but I think you can really just kind of enjoy going out, doing things, not being deep all the time. Some things you can actually be surface level about. Just use your discernment. Okay, I don't know you personally. This is a general reading, but I'm going to get some final words from Spirit for you, pile 3. Oh, I've mixed up these cards so very much. Angels, Ancestors, Spirit, what are some final words for pile 3? Angels, Ancestors, Spirit, some final words for pile 3 about their spiritual health, self-focus. Final words for pile 3, spiritual health, collective. Final words for pile 3, spiritual health. Rising star, keep going. Perfect. Yes, I do think at the moment what is going to feed you both physically and spiritually is going to be focusing on yourself, focusing on good habits, focusing from cutting away that which you do not need anymore. Focus on utilizing community when needed. So maybe generally you're keeping to yourself. But then, as really good moments that come up to show up for other people and be in community, going to that birthday party, maybe supporting that cause and showing up and protesting, whatever it is, you show up for those things and then you go back to focusing on yourself. It is okay for you to still engage in community while also taking a lot more time out for yourself. I think it's perfectly fine to just tell people what phase you're in. Just be brutally honest. Right now, I'm just not in a very social mood. It's taken a lot for me to be here. This was just an event that I thought I could do. But now, if you're inviting me to the other 3 events this month, that's not where I'm at right now. I'm sorry. Maybe another time. And rising star, keep going. I feel that for some of you, you're doing really good things. You're doing big things. You're working towards your career goals. You're making that money. You're doing something creatively or something that really feeds you, maybe intellectually, and you're being seen, you're being recognized for being the shining light that you are. Like, this is confirmation, me saying that people are seeing the fruits of your labor and they will keep supporting you because of that, and it will only go up from here. So Pal 3, I hope you've enjoyed that reading. I hope you come back again. Please consider liking and subscribing so that I know that you enjoy this kind of content and I can keep making it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.